Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire. This is FFS 31. In this episode, the FFS team is missing one or two key players, not because of injury or poor form, but because of holidays. Mark has had a hard, challenging summer and is taking a well-earned break. And similarly, Keke seems to have ventured overseas for a family vacation, but we didn't want to keep you waiting any longer. So this episode is me and Rich.
Hello.
Hi, Rich. And possibly joined by Keke a bit later. So thank you, listener, for joining us as well. Today, we're going to discuss our recent predictions competition. If a survey that collects answers but offers no prize can be called competition. We'll look also at how the opening 7 rounds or so of the Veikkausliiga has panned out, who's leading the table, who's already fallen behind, and why does Rich keep trolling me about the form of Ashikor? We'll deal with all of these matters a little bit later. I also have to give a shout out right now to Kevin Cumming in our Facebook group. Kevin found us recently and he's listened to the entire back catalogue. Kevin, you are clearly either bored during lockdown, a new super fan, or a lunatic, or possibly a combination of all three. But thank you very much for your review, and you can read Kevin's full review of 5.5 shambolic years on our Facebook page, and I've put the link in the show notes, and also in the podcast description. So hopefully, if you've got your phone in your hand, have a look down below, and you might just see the links and also a few images in there as well. Let's see how that works out.
I think 5.5 shambolic years should be the title of our book.
It should be. Yeah, that's true. And also, if those images, if it doesn't work for you, or if it does, just hit me up on @Explore Finland on Twitter. Let me know how it looks for you there. So, and if you're watching this and you want to listen, or if you're listening and you want to watch, then podcast player, Finnish Football Show YouTube channel. I don't know why anyone would want to actually watch this, but
I don't know. Two men in their 40s in football shirts talking about football. It's like Soccer Saturday.
White middle-aged men sitting around giving their opinions on things and hoping someone else gives a damn.
That's what podcasts are.
That's exactly what podcasts are. And so, those that are listening, thank you. You can't listen live because we're recording this on Zoom, but it's not going out live. But we still want your input in between the shows. So podcast listeners, use social to get hold of us. Our handles are @Explore Finland for me, @Keke Muleri, @FC Suomi, and Rich, you are
@Escape to Suomi.
And as I mentioned before, we've got a Facebook page and a group. Follow the page or ask to join the group. We let most people in. And I think we might have only kicked one person out who turned out to be just there to spam the place. We don't want spam. So, again, this show was pulled together at the last minute. So we don't have all the usual features this time. We'll bring you Silla Sipuli and following the next time that we have a full team. But if you're ready, Rich, let's get going.
Let's blow that whistle.
Well, we don't have a whistle anymore. This is one thing that Kevin complained about. He got used to the whistle for a few episodes, and then we don't have it anymore because Zoom doesn't have whistles. And I'm not going to sit here and blow a whistle into the microphone. That would be really annoying. But let's kick off anyway with a little bit of news. Keke seems to be... actually, no, it's both of you. You and Keke did some interviews at the start of this year. You with Tim Sparv and Keke with Markus Halsti. And they're now both been released from their contracts.
I mean, I sort of speak mostly about Tim. His contract was up anyway this summer. I think, obviously, with everything that's happened this year, circumstances have altered things slightly. I think he was kind of hoping that perhaps some glory at Euro 2020 would see him in the shop window, as it were. now his contract expired last week, and he left Midtjylland, admittedly with a championship medal. And in that John Terry tradition, he, wearing number 3 for his club, he got substituted in the 3rd minute to a standing ovation.
In the 3rd minute, not
Yes.
even the 33rd minute or something. You give him a little bit more of a run out.
Yeah, so I don't know if he even touched the ball in the game, but so he got hooked. He did speak to Ule last week, I think it was, and was talking about his plans. And obviously, the fact that the Euros have had to be postponed a year means he has to rethink his plans for where he's going to play. Most of the speculation seems to revolve around him moving to Sweden, which is again a higher, probably a higher average standard than Finland, probably fairly similar to Denmark.
Mm.
But with Tim, who knows? I mean, he's had a bit of a globe-trotting career already, sort of spotting very different countries. So Sweden seems to be where the clever money is, but I think he could do with a good year of football because, as he admitted himself, he's I say getting on a bit. I think he'll be 34 by the time the Euros begin next summer.
You're in your prime at 34. I
I think
remember
so.
those years in the dim and distant past.
He still looks better than either of us did.
Yeah, quite right. Well, good luck to Tim, and good luck to Marcus Halsti as well, finding new clubs, because there is some important football coming up for the national team with the Nations League, the second iteration of that in the autumn, and then the Euros rescheduled for next summer. So we want to see you there. We also were going to just touch on Sorman Cup. In the previous episode, we talked about the fixtures that were upcoming, and the final seems to have been scheduled for early October. Rich, do you have any update on that?
Yeah, so that kind of got hidden away. I just wasn't looking on the day they announced it. But so that's been scheduled for the 3rd of October, unless Inter do well in the Europa League and have to play on the Thursday night, in which case it'll move to the Sunday. Makes you wonder why they don't just plan it for the Sunday anyway. I know we were talking on WhatsApp earlier about where the game might be played. They have confirmed it will be at the Veritas Stadion in Turku, because that was the original venue named long before they knew who'd be playing in the final. So
Inter Turku have got a home game in the final.
Yeah, looks like it.
But that's just the luck of the draw, I guess. So.
It is, and I mean the weird thing is on the day we're recording this, the Olympia Stadion has been. They said they're going to start playing games in the next couple of weeks. And there's in the Women's National League, there's a Helsinki derby there. I'm not sure how many tickets are going to be available, but the stadium officially opens on the 22nd of August. But I guess this had already had to be booked in for Turku months in advance, so it'll be there, and home advantage for Inter. I mean, they won last year's competition, so I suppose the defending champions. It should be a good game. I mean, you've got certainly two of the best teams in Finland at the moment. It's I mean, and the prize, I suppose, is a place in the UEFA's new 3rd competition next year, which I think is the Conference League. I think it's called
Europa Conference or something. Is it?
Yeah, it's I guess for fans of English football in the sort of 90s, the conference meant something very different. But
it was the top division below the Football League. It's got a different name nowadays, but conference definitely makes me think of part-time non-league football. So I'm not sure it's the best name they could have come up with.
No, I mean, I don't know why they couldn't have called it a Cup Winners' Cup and let the Cup winners go in and have a Cup Winners. But that's just my sort of nostalgia kicking in. But whoever wins this will be I suppose the Finnish Trailblazers in that competition, playing the sort of teams that came 2nd or 3rd in sort of Macedonia or something like that. So.
Yeah, and while people in the UK are a bit sniffy about these new competitions, for Finnish clubs, it gives them a real opportunity to have some competitive, like, international football, if you like. So I think it's and winning something for a clubs the size of the Finnish clubs is important. It's when I played football on a Sunday, winning a cup once in a blue moon was important. It means something. So it's not all about the Champions League. So I'm more positive about these perhaps than I might once have been. Talking about Europa League and Champions League, the qualifying rounds are going to be drawn next week. And just as a sort of summary, in the Champions League, first qualifying round will be Kups from Kuopio, who won the Veikkausliiga last year. And then in the Europa League, first qualifying round is Ilves, Inter Turku and Honka.
Yeah, it's interesting the way they've done. Obviously, this is the first year in I lost count how many years Hoiko haven't qualified for Europe. But this way, obviously, with the way they've condensed next season's competitions, and this is where it becomes detrimental to the clubs from countries like Finland and sort of the Eastern Bloc. The games are only going to be played over one leg.
Okay.
So, say Cups, for example, they'll be drawn in the Champions League. They're unseeded, and I mean, for example, they could play Celtic of Scotland over one leg, and it could. I mean, if it's at Celtic Park, they're going to get slaughtered, and they're not going to get a home game out of it, and again, even if they did have a home game, they're not going to get a huge gate because of the restrictions on attendances at the moment.
Yeah.
So the whole timing of it is very difficult. In fact, I'm pretty sure I read that the games are going to be played behind closed doors anyway. That might need to be confirmed, but there is a possibility that no matter where they play, there'll be no fans, so they'll have minimal or less chance of any prize money.
What about the idea that like in August now they just started playing, or let's say tomorrow they're going to have the first of these one-tie knockout games in the Champions League, and that might change the dynamic because certain teams might be good in one game but not strong enough to sustain it over two.
Yeah, and I think it removes a lot of the, there is a technical aspect of playing over two legs. I guess, teams like Mourinho, old sides, when he was at his peak, were doing that really well. And I think it does boil down to, over 90 or 120 minutes and penalties. Whereas, I mean, remember, I think it's Mourinho's went to Barcelona, parked about 12 buses in front of their goal, I think they lost 1-0. And he celebrated like they'd won the cup, which of course they went on to do anyway. But it's different, and I think in this sort of context with Finnish teams, it's always a lottery. You can play a team, with we'll say Celtic again, for example. Celtic are former European champions. They could play Red Star Belgrade, who again have won it in the past, and over one leg, you never know. I think it was 2012. Kups got through, I think, two leg ties and then went out to Bursaspor in the third qualifying round. So it could happen. And if they get a favourable draw and the stars align for them, then who knows?
Yeah, you never know. And I've put actually in the show notes links to kind of like a Wikipedia page, but with all the rankings and which teams come in at which round, and it actually also shows their coefficient numbers. So it's kind of interesting to see how some of these teams are actually kind of ranked or graded. The last thing I've got here for the the news or the current affairs section was the story that you shared today about the comments from Joni Vesalainen, who's the sales and marketing director at Jyk Jyväskylä, about the finances of clubs in the Veikkausliiga. Particularly, he was saying things like there's not enough home games for the clubs to be able to make enough money as a business from the football side of things, and that maybe season tickets are too cheap. What else did you take from the story?
I mean, he has a point, I guess, in that, as a sales and marketing man. I mean, he was at Asiko for a while, and I think he's done some work in hockey too. It's difficult because, in most levels of elite top division football, the emphasis is on trying to get games down so that you're not wearing players out too much. There's a welfare issue around there. Of course, in the current climate, we're talking about possibly reduced schedules because of coronavirus and trying to condense everything in. His suggestion was that the Veikkausliiga should play 40 games a season, so that you play 20 home games, so that there's 20 guaranteed home matches, which, I mean, it's yes, it sounds great from a money point of view, but there's always the emphasis again around, the clubs will have to pay extra for players, or they have burnout, they need bigger squads.
That would also involve having a league table that holds 21 teams, so that when everyone plays each other twice, they play 40 games, which seems a little bit strange, but I kind of get the point he's trying to make.
I mean, bear in mind, I think it was 2 years ago they went to the current league system of playing 27 games instead of 33. This year they have said if there is I was going to say that phrase, a second wave, if there are any issues with coronavirus, they're content to play 22 games, so 2 rounds of 11 fixtures, if the need arises. 40, to guarantee that extra revenue. Yes, I mean, clubs are struggling at the moment. There's not a lot of income. Even the big clubs Cup's lost a lot of money. I think over €1 million in the year they won the title. And you've got to pay certain staff year-round salaries. But I guess it's an idea he's thrown out there. He's got a vested interest. It's something that can be discussed. But again, we're in a world where the clubs, play only, this season we're talking about playing 27 rounds of fixtures between the start of July and early November. They're loath to play league games in indoor venues like they do in the Cups. And
that's because it's a horrible experience watching games in the indoor venues.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's really weird, and the viewing angle is bad, and you can't get many people in there. I mean, if you had an indoor arena that had enough seats that you can see the game properly, but it just makes it feel like pre-season friendly, and that's fine. If you go to a pre-season friendly and you stand on the touchline watching these Veikkausliiga players preparing for the season, that's one thing. But I wouldn't want the indoor arenas I've been in. I wouldn't want to watch a proper league game in there.
No, I mean that's the thing. It's easy to think of an indoor arena and think of these venues in the United States that hold 70,000. Their stadiums with roofs on, basically. But what they're talking about here is inflatable municipal facilities that have a gym. Is it actually cool where you can sit on an exercise bike and watch the game?
I think that I actually sent you a picture of me sitting on an exercise bike on the mezzanine floor watching a game. It was one of the Stormont Cup games, and okay, I mean, it is a terrific facility for getting people to do sport all year round, but not as a venue for a competitive Veikkausliiga game. And I think I would say, even if everything's going well and you're getting big crowds, apart from maybe Hoyikor, who can push towards 10,000 crowds, most are getting, let's say, between 3,000 and 5,000. And a lot of those will be season tickets and the same people going back over and over again. And I think there's only, the clubs are struggling, but also people are struggling. My business, my work's been hit in the last 3 months, particularly. Many people have been laid off or lost their jobs completely, and you can only, having more games doesn't necessarily mean that I can go and spend, money on food and drink at the games. I agree that the season tickets are cheap. I mean, our season tickets cost €80.
Yeah.
If it was, that's great. I love that. It's great. But if it was double, if it was 200, fine. I'd still pay that if I got the games. I think there's starting to be some discontent about prices of things at some of the games, and I think I'm noticing this in society in general over here, that the same thing. Businesses have been closed down. So now you go to bars and half a litre of the most generic, nondescript, flavourless beer will set you back €7.
Oy.
Now, at Asicor, €7 gets you a small can of Carlsberg.
That's Carlsberg as well.
Yeah, this is kind of the point, and I think that something could be done. I mean, my experience is Seinäjoki, but I'm sure this is relevant elsewhere. For the customer experience, like, what do you get when you come on that day? If it's always the same generic hot dogs in a bun and the same beer because it's all sponsored, eventually people are going to go, oh, really? Julian, who friend of the show, is vegetarian. The other day we went to the game on Saturday, and afterwards stayed in the bar to watch the FA Cup final. And all he could eat was a hot dog bun with ketchup and mustard in it. And it's been like that for 4 years. The stadium's been open. And, if you want to get people spending more money, you have to give them more to spend it on.
That's awful. That just reminds me. That was the episode of The Simpsons, wasn't it? When I think Lisa turned vegetarian, and at the school cafeteria they said, "What's your vegetarian option?" And it was a hot dog, and she just took the sausage out.
Okay, so actually resembling an episode of The Simpsons.
I mean, that's the thing I don't know a huge amount about the finances behind the scenes, but I mean, when you look at the Premier League, this isn't a Premier League podcast. Please stay with us.
Enough of those.
Yeah. But when you think about, say, the club I support, Arsenal, and most of their income, or huge proportion, it's the highest in the league, comes from match day revenue. It's not just ticket sales, it's the shops selling the shirts, it's the beers, the food, the programs. And they're having to lay people off while they're offering Willian 100 grand a week and paying Mesut Ozil 300 grand a week. But in Finland, the margins are similar. You've still got staff to pay on match days. You've still got to have the facilities running, and perhaps there is an issue where maybe the season ticket prices are such good value that they need to make that money up elsewhere, and perhaps if instead they raise the ticket prices and lowered the other prices, there might be more of a balance. And
also, like, if you pay €80 for a ticket, do you worry so much about missing a game? Whereas if you paid more for it, maybe you value it more and you think, oh, I'm definitely going to go.
Yeah, and then you've got the competing. I suppose in most of the bigger Finnish cities, you've probably got an ice hockey team or another sport that you can. I mean, maybe not necessarily at the same time, but I guess there's so many competing interests, and where do you put your money? I think the last time I went to Cups, the tickets, I think they were €20 for a match, and that was, when was the last time I was there? 3 years ago. €20 for a match, and you're paying €80 for what, 14 home games potentially.
I mean, if it's 11, 13, 14, exactly. It's bargain.
So I might as well have bought a season ticket, hopefully gone to 2 games, and then given it to someone else.
Potentially. That's right.
And then you're probably paying €78 for a shirt if you're that way inclined as well. But
except the shirts haven't arrived for this season because coronavirus means that they're lost in or delayed in transit.
I was going to ask about those actually.
I did speak to somebody in the marketing team about those shirts, and I don't know how many are going to be available for fans. I mean, it seems at the moment they're not yet available for the players, so I don't know. It might be next season's. It might be next season's kit.
The big collector's item.
Not official news from the club. That's just me.
If you're watching if this goes on to YouTube, then I'm wearing the current Hoiko away jersey. So real men wear pink.
Do you know, I realised that we used to have the traditional start of what shirt are you wearing, Rich, along with the no noisy biscuits and all that business, and we've got out of the habit of it.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, but no, this was the. It's actually a really nice shirt.
It is a nice looking shirt.
Yeah, there is a sponsor. You can't really see it. It's very low down. But yeah, this was. This is one of the things I think when the clubs or when the season was postponed and there was the big push, and when we talked. On the other podcast about raising money with the ticket promotion that the Paloliito were running, and I was plugging a lot the various club shops online, and it's it's difficult because some of them, they are small outfits, and FC Jazz don't send don't post mugs internationally, as I found out. But I did get a couple of shirts from different clubs and some other merchandise tat. But yeah, I was a bit appalled at €20 to post it, but then I found out that's actually quite reasonable by all
That's
accounts.
just posty over here. Yeah, it's expensive to get anything anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's move on from the current affairs news section and talk a little bit about the predictions competition. We promised a predictions episode before the season started. We didn't do it, of course, but we did get the survey out, and 30 people took the time to answer it. And well, a couple of you even submitted your responses twice. So well done. I managed to delete those before pulling together some of the answers. How about a huge thanks to everyone that took part. There's 30 of you. I think it would be really boring to hear me read out 30 names. So they're all on the blog post. You can find your name on there. We had also Joaquin, friend of the show, Joaquin Gomez, the Ashikor assistant manager. He gave his answers, as did Chris Cleaver, who was in the Behind the Quarantine episode as a football agent. So we had some people from the very top, and then we had also the four of us that put this show together. It was nice to get Henry Huckamaki, Huck, old friend of the show here. I've just realised that I've lost all my pictures in the show notes, so I'm going to go and find the originals and talk through some of the answers that we got. So we asked first of all for Sorman Cup winners, and this was resounding. 60% thought Hoyikor, and 16.7% thought Inter Turku. So that was 18 out of 30 thought Hoyikor, and another 5 thought Inter. Well, you're all very clever, aren't you? I can see everyone's individual responses. I can't be bothered to see if anybody actually predicted those two within the same guess. So that's that one we've sort of talked about coming up later in the autumn, that final of that competition. Then the Veikkausliiga champions. So again,
mixed bag, wasn't it?
Well, it was no, not that mixed. It was mostly went for Hoyikor. It was like 23 out of 30 thought Hoyikor would be champions. So 76% of you. Then there were 2 for Inter and 1 each for Hifki, Honka, Ilves, Kups and Asikor. I have to guess that was Joaquin, who had that much confidence in Ashikor because he's only been there half a year and the rest of us have been around a lot longer. But I like your optimism.
Faith in his team.
Yeah, absolutely. And faith in his own abilities. And quite rightly too, with what he's achieved previously in the UK. Part of the management team that got Luton from League 2 up to the Championship. And is, I don't know, hopefully we're starting to see some of that in the way that Ashikor are performing. Certainly yesterday. My voice is a bit husky today because we were going for it for the entire game. I've actually clapped my hands bloody again. It's been a couple of years since I did that. And to me, that's an indication of the sort of game we saw yesterday.
Hard-earned point.
Say again?
A hard-earned point.
Yeah, you know what? A well-deserved point, and a resounding kind of ovation at the end, which was for the performance, not for the result necessarily. It wasn't a celebration of a point, although a point against Kups is a good point, but it was about how that point was earned, and it's also worth noting that Walter Viitala, the Ashikor goalie, was the man of the match. And deservedly the man of the match. So that, but it was a really, really good performance. I'm not always this up. It's just cool. If we've recorded this on Sunday, you'd have got a very different response. So, fickle is the football fan. Then we asked about Europa League qualifiers. This was a bit more of a mixed bag. We asked everyone for two teams they thought would qualify for the Europa League. In this, Kups got 12 responses out of 30, so 40%. Honka got 11, as did Interturku. Asikor got 7 responses, Ilves 6, and Hoyikor 6. So I guess most people either thought Hoyikor would win the league or qualify for Europe. So that's normally a safe bet, although it didn't happen last season.
No, I said I can't remember the last time that happened. Certainly must be at least 11, 12 years, if not more.
Yeah, which gives them, what's the cliche? They're not in Europe, so they can focus on the Veikkausliiga.
Yes, let's end the season now.
Yeah. And then the next question, sorry, was who do you think will be relegated? So here we were looking for which team would finish bottom rather than the playoff place as well. And TPS Turku got 14 responses, having just come up last year. Rovaniemi got 7. It's slid down the table over the last few years, having pushed quite high 2 or 3 years ago. Mariehamn recently, a few years ago, champions, had four votes for relegation. Hifki got 3, and then Lartin Cups.
I know who voted for Cups.
Well, actually, I think I know. I'm not gonna out anyone. But I think that person might have voted Cups as. I think they voted Hifki as champions and qualifying for Europe, and Cups as qualifying for Europe and getting relegated. So
who knows of this crazy season?
Hedging their bets. It's a statistical anomaly there. I think Cups are going to stay at the end of the table they're currently at, which is near the top. We then asked a kind of open question about what are you most looking forward to in the 2020 season. The number one response was just live football, watching live football. 5 people put that. 3 people made some mention of Eero Markkanen, and it wasn't just Keke. You were all gushing over seeing Eero and his tall, handsome physique in the Veikkausliiga again. Also, 3 people particularly mentioned seeing how Kups perform this year, some way or another, and 2 people mentioned expecting Rops to struggle. There were a few specific comments that I wanted to mention. Different Kevin to the one we shouted out before, said he was hoping to visit Finland for the first time, to watch some matches and to bring an Ilves shirt back. Yeah, he's a Norwich City fan, so he's clearly got a thing for yellow and green. But this will have to wait now until 2021. So, Kevin, if you do make plans to get over next year, reach out to us. And if you're travelling, towards the Seinäjoki area, then I'd be happy to show you around. And Mark, the other Mark, is based down in the south of Finland. So, I'm sure if schedules allow, it would be good to anyone that's coming over specifically to sort of say hi and welcome you here. Sami said he's looking forward to Asikor winning ceremonies for Asikor. So I like your style, Sami. I'm not quite sure I'm as optimistic as you, but good on you. Thanks for the positivity. And Huck, who I mentioned before, he wrote War and Peace, and nobody wants me to read all of this out. But he's wondering if Hoyikor might continue to struggle like they did last year. Will Kups be able to retain their title without Jani Honkavara leading the team? And so far they've started well. Could Ilves go for the double this season after winning the cup last year? Now there's a question. So I think, thanks everyone. Well, I think we'll come back to this Maybe revisit it halfway through the season and see if anyone got it, apart from Coops going down, if anyone else got anything spectacularly right, or if there are any surprises that any of you predicted. And then maybe at the end of the season, I'll figure out a way to put some points to these predictions and see if anyone did particularly well or particularly badly. That's the end of the first half. Normally we'd have a whistle. Normally we'd have Yasil Sipuli. We don't have. So I guess maybe we can crack on with the Veikkausliiga.
Yeah, quick half an orange and back out on the pitch.
I'll have a glass of water.
Yeah, I mean, the Veikkausliiga has been going since the start of July now, and obviously trying to cram. I mean, they're trying to cram 22 rounds of fixtures in before the end of October. So 22 games in just under 5 months. It's sorry, just under 4 months. It's ambitious. We are at the point where the teams are playing pretty much 3 games every sort of 7 or 8 days, which is, you do wonder if it's going to cause any issues further down the line. We're going to start having postponements for European games in international team fixtures as well. But obviously, from my point of view, the table as it stands after, I mean, we're recording this on Thursday evening, so the latest round of fixtures leaves Cups at the top of the table, which is always nice. But
we had a couple of games tonight, didn't we? So
yeah. And I mean, we're at the point now after 8 games, Cups and Honka are still unbeaten. I thought Honka would do okay this season. I didn't think they'd go 8 games unbeaten from the start. I mean, they're still the majority of them are draws. Yeah, 3 wins and 5 draws. But they've just won at TPS tonight. TPS, who hired Jonathan Johansson as their new manager last week after their shoddy start. I think they'd lost their first 5 fixtures. Hired him as manager. They won their first game, or his first game in charge, and then unfortunately lost again tonight. But it's interesting because I think you can't look at many games and see an obvious result, with the exception of maybe, if you're at home to TPS or ROPS, perhaps you'd expect a win. But teams like, Mariehamn beat Inter last night. Asikor, you never know with Asikor. We've jested about it for years, but they have a good game in them. They can beat anyone on their day and played well. But then the other thing that Keke raised last night is Haka, who came up last season as well. Massive champions and invested well. They haven't won in 7 games, which I think is quite surprising. I think a lot of people rated Teemu Tainio as a manager for how well they did last year, and I think finding life in the top division a little bit harder. And Hifki as well. They sacked their manager after a slightly shaky start, and they're 5th at the time of recording. Only 3 points behind Cups with a game in hand. So it's quite congested. It's still fairly early, but yeah, I mean it's really fascinating. I think already we're not seeing a runaway team. We're seeing the teams beating each other. And that's the joy, I guess, of a smaller division. But
beating each other, and also quite a lot of draws. Like even Cups at the top after 8 games, 4 wins and 4 draws. So yes, unbeaten, which is impressive, but still dropping quite a lot of points there.
Yeah, I think they've only conceded 5 goals, but so when they're winning, they're doing it well. But I think there's still some teething issues, and hopefully they'll iron them out before the European games start. But you're sort of looking more at sort of Ilves and Mariehamn as the teams where there's going to be goals in the games. But it's good fun so far, and I think a lot of it's just relief that it's back after. I think someone worked out it was about 280 days between the end of the last season and the start of this season.
Yeah, well, we talked about it in the last episode that we were all gagging for live football, and I have to say, after a opening day win against TPS for Seinäjoki, that enthusiasm was starting to drain away until yesterday, and I sort of banged on about that a little bit already. But I think what would I like to highlight? I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode, but I spoke with Joaquin again just before the season started, and he mentioned Matthias Banyamba, young local boy, very tall, plays at left back, and he's a proper defender. He can pass the ball as well, but he's not like a wing back getting down the wing, but not much gets past him. Very, very impressive. So looking forward to seeing how that young man progresses. Yesterday was the first time that we saw this forward line of Tuco up front, and I made my comments known in a WhatsApp message the other day. Not going to repeat that on air. But behind him yesterday was Dennis Olinik, Robin Sid, and Serge Atakai. And they're three. You got big Tuco up front, tall, powerful, and then these three others just so quick running around him, and it was exciting. And they were linking up well, and that was the catalyst, I think, for the performance yesterday. More solid defence. Nico Boxall came in recently, just adding experience and more solid at the back, and then this forward line. And I'd also like to say that Mehmet Hetemay, rumours of his demise have been greatly exaggerated, to steal a phrase, I suppose. I don't know, maybe the speed is not there, but the brain and the touch is still there. So good on you, Mehu. Keep it going.
I think from when he returned to Finland a few years ago, he did. I think that's the thing with him. He always looked a class above in terms of, he was still, I think, on the outskirts of the national team at the time as well, and he just had that sort of speed of thought around him that's sort of able to read the game a little bit better. I mean, yes, he's getting older, but I think in his position, he can afford that little lapse in physical prowess, but he's still showing his quality. And yeah, no, he's done really well. I mean, the fact he's still performing well, I mean, it shows he's looking after himself.
Yeah, and bringing someone like Mateo Radetzky alongside him as well, although he went off injured maybe on Saturday, but still, and then wasn't there yesterday, but still, that's quite a nice combination to see there in the middle of the park. And yeah, optimism. It's nice to be optimistic. It feels good. Somehow it's lighter on the shoulders when you're optimistic.
Yeah, I always feel that when I'm talking about cups the last 18 months or so. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's been nice to have it back. And yeah, it's not all one-way traffic, which is good to see. And hopefully that'll continue into the autumn as well.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to mention the players as well, the top scorers so far after, 8 games in total. Obviously, not everyone's played 8 games, but Ilmari Niskanen at Kups has got 6 in 8, which is very impressive, as has Timo Furuholm at Inter. So I'd just like to mention that Niskanen didn't score yesterday.
No, but it was that curse of the player of the month. His player of the month for July, and he's still young. I think someone's obviously been searching Twitter for him, because I remember, I think I tweeted around the time he made his debut a few years ago that he'd come through and he was born in the year 2000, which at the time just made us feel incredibly old. And I think I came out last week. He actually, as a child, he'd undergone some very serious sort of health concerns as well. Okay. So to come through, win Player of the Month, and he's looked really sort of top notch this season. I think last year he did quite well, but yeah, he's really started the season on fire. 6 goals, and yeah, it's nice. I mean, Cups have brought through quite a few young players over the last few years, and a lot of them have left perhaps at the wrong time. And we see with Nisila, he's come back on loan for the year, having left, really up probably too soon in hindsight. But hopefully Niskanen can stay a little bit longer and do well.
Yeah, there was one person yesterday, and I want to make sure I give proper credit where it's due. Let me see. Oh, I think it was Nisila in the Cubs midfield, and I was there with friends and with Lady Satu, and she said, "Oh, that number 25, Nisila, he's everywhere. He's really quick. He's all over the pitch," and caught her eye. So they're a decent team, Cubs, and I wish them the best for Europe. And I'm very happy with that point yesterday. We would have settled with a point at the beginning of the day. To get the point in that style was pleasing, and onwards and upwards. Come on, Ashley.
We're not biased here at the Finnish Football Show.
Yeah, we are actually. We are.
Okay.
We can.
In fact, we both are. So
we both had a horse in that race yesterday.
Yeah,
and they came in neck and neck.
Oh,
so
the each way bet.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned there's fixtures coming thick and fast at the moment, and there's games again on Sunday and Monday. So Hoyikor played today, and they got another game on Sunday. But just for those that are listening before then, Rops against Mariehamn, Inter versus Hakka, Lahti versus Ilves, and Kups versus Hoyikor. That's on Sunday. And then on Monday the 10th, Honka versus Asikor, and Hifki versus TPS Turku. So, yeah, you're right. They are coming thick and fast. We left the game on Saturday thinking, oh, that was football, can't be bothered. And then it was like, oh, there's another game Wednesday. Right, okay, see you Wednesday. And I'm back into it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Cups are playing Hoyikor again. They only played them two weeks ago, if that. May even have been less than that. And there was an interesting, exciting 2-2 draw. And I think Hoyikor had a goal disallowed in injury time, which was questionable.
Well, you're right about that, and it's the same because Cups played Seinäjoki on Sunday the 26th, and then again on Wednesday the 5th. So it's only a week and a half or so in between the games. I was quite surprised to see that.
Yeah,
but don't worry, Cups. You've got that behind you now. You don't have to worry about Seinäjoki until end of the season.
Yeah. The championship playoffs or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you know what, Rich? When there's only two of us here, we whip through this quite quickly, don't we?
Yeah, we tend to stick to the agenda quite a lot as well.
It's true. And I feel like I've talked more than usual, but there's only two of us talking rather than four trying to elbow their way into the conversation. So,
yeah.
Hey, Mark and Keke, we miss you. We look forward to you being back here next time. I don't know when that next time will be, but we'll do our best not to make it too long. Maybe at maybe towards the end of August, something like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I mean, by then, probably most of the Finnish teams will be out of Europe at that point. I think after their one-legged ties, and we'll know a bit more about when what's happening with the internationals as well. I think they start kicking off in is it the first or second week of September, and they come thick and fast because they've got they're now doing some triple headers. To try
is that right for the Nations League or
so also they have a couple of friendlies as well, but I think they've
just what you need at this time at the moment is friendly games and all this
friendlies, but I think they're condensing the Nations League in, so the fixtures that originally came out are null and void, but there are some weekends that some teams in Europe are playing 3 times over
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, probably at this rate. And yeah, I think they're still planning on playing sort of the friendly against Poland that was postponed from March of this year. And obviously then, because the Nations League has to be played because of the way it feeds into the World Cup qualifying, and bear in mind that's going to be all squashed now as well because of everything.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how that settles. But
and that just assumes that football will kind of just and life will just go on from here, but we don't know what's coming this winter. So yeah, let's keep optimistic, but and hope that Finland are not playing in the Euros in 2022 or 2023. And
that's why I haven't booked my flights yet for next summer.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah. So maybe we should aim for an episode before the Nations League, just to preview it a bit, and then again try and get some of us together. Maybe it doesn't need to be all of us. We get some of us together to look back at those games as well and talk through them. And if you're listening to this soon after Thursday, the 6th of August, Keke has another interview show lined up with the former international goalkeeper Antti Niemi. So if any of you got any good questions for Keke to put to Antti, then let us know. You know the social profiles that you can use. So it's at Explore Finland, at FC Suomi, at Keke Murari, and at Escape to Suomi. You can find our new, it's not new anymore, it's been there a while, our Facebook page, and also the Facebook group. Keke started the Instagram page, and there's the YouTube channel where you'll find the video from this and from previous episodes as well. Anything else from you, Rich?
Well, I've just looked at the fixtures for the autumn, and for the Finland team, they're playing 2 games in September, 3 games in October, and 2 games in November. So 7 games in 2.5 months. So those who've had a particular hankering for hockey fixtures, both Finland fans and probably Norwich fans as well, they're going to get a mouthful come the autumn, because it'll be Nations League and a friendly against Poland too. So
Good
it's going to be a busy autumn.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And that's my only dig at Norwich for today.
No, that's fine. You've been very well restrained. They're the kicker team while it's down.
I'll cut the mustard.
Yeah. Until next time, Rich. Thanks a lot. Take care. See you. Yep.